Hi, Robert Chuckrow here. I want to give you a tip that will enable you to step with much less effort and be much more balanced and have the movement of the leg be much more continuous. In order to explain how this can be done, I need to just go over a few very basic physics principles that you probably are familiar with, but just to review them. One is weight. The weight of an object is the force of gravity on the object, the force of the Earth's gravity on it. So your weight is the force of the gravitational force of the Earth on your body. And that acts or can be thought to act at a certain point of your body called the center of mass or center of gravity. And when you're standing on one leg, your center of gravity must be directly above the center of that foot, of the rooted foot. As soon as your center of gravity moves away from that point, you're off balance. And one thing that's very important to know is that every movement that you make changes your sense of gravity. It's at a different part in your body all the time as soon as you start to move, as you move. So if you extend an arm, that moves the center of gravity out in that direction. You extend the leg, same thing. Another concept is momentum. And momentum in physics is, quantitatively, is mass times velocity. Mass is the amount of material, the amount of matter. Velocity is speed, but it also takes into account direction. So momentum has a directional aspect to it. And the direction is the direction that the object is moving. So the more mass it has, the more momentum it has. The faster it's moving, the more momentum it has. And the direction is very important. If without the direction, you're missing an important aspect of it is missing. And so with that said, I'm going to talk about stepping in the most basic way, namely the preparation step, where you are standing on you shift your weight onto your right leg and step out to the left. That is, if you're going to do that correctly, the foot should blend with the floor as you put your weight on it. In other words, you step, touch the floor, no commitment of weight until you decide to do that. Then the weight transfers to that leg, to the 50-50 point. I'm going to discuss now the beginning move of the form, of the Yang style form. I'm starting with my heels together, weight 50-50, feet angled out comfortably, something near 45 degrees, and I shift my weight onto my right foot. As I do so, I'm sinking and turning. By turning, that left heel is starting to move out in that direction, which is helping the movement outward, and it's also causing my foot to end up pointing in the starting direction rather than having to do something to make it do so. So I shift into my right foot, weight's coming off my left foot. Now here's the problem. If I just step without addressing my center of mass, which is right now over 100% over, directly over my right foot, if I don't do anything about it and I step out, the weight of that left leg and the leverage is going to cause me to lose my balance. So this is what will happen. See how my body moved over, and I literally fell, but I didn't fall all the way because my foot ended up stopping it. But that isn't always going to be the case if you step that way. If, for example, that there were a staircase or a hole, I'd be falling. So how do you deal with that? What you have to do now, as the foot goes out, you have to move your center of mass more to the right to counterbalance that, the weight of the left foot, which is moving your center of mass in the direction of the moving foot. So once my foot is off the ground, now it's off the ground, and I'm doing this, what am I doing to keep my center of mass over the center of my foot? I have to, if my center of mass moves a little bit in any one direction, I have to use the muscles and the pressure on the foot against the floor, of the foot against the floor, to shift my body. There's no other way I can get a force to move my body. So it has to come from my foot and the floor. That is very awkward. And I have to use a lot of strength. There's very little leverage because the point that's contacting the floor that I'm exerting strength against is very close to the center of the foot. So I don't have much leverage. I have to use a lot of strength to do that. And as I step out, I'm constantly having to struggle with that. And that is not the way to step easily. Now you can get good at that, but when you're old, when you may have weaker muscles, when you may have less perception, maybe you have some injuries, some arthritis, you're not going to be able to step that way. That won't work. So here's my solution. It's very simple. I shift into my right leg. As I sink, my left leg is coming off the floor. As soon as it's free, I'm stepping out. But I don't stop. I don't stop and struggle. I keep that motion going. Just the right amount. There. Now I can step and shift and do the rest of the move. So I'm not stopping and then struggling as my foot is going out. My center of mass is, I'm striving to get my center of mass to stay over my foot by moving my body this way with the momentum that I started by shifting here. I keep that momentum going. There it is. That wasn't bad. So at the age of 87 and 1 week, I can still do this move pretty well. Not as well as I used to. And this concept applies to all of the stepping in the form. So after this move, when I'm going into ward off left, I shift my weight onto my right foot. Now my left foot has to go forward. That's bringing my center of gravity forward. If I don't do anything, I'm going to fall on that foot. So instead, I have my momentum going this way, and then it sort of goes around a curve and goes back just the right amount. There. See? And I step out. And that enables me to step like a cat. It's in every move. It gets harder and moves like the single whip, where the body is turning as you're stepping, and you're having to take a much more open step. But the same rule applies, that you strive to get that momentum to go in such a direction that it continues and keeps the center of mass of your body over the center of the rooted foot as you're stepping. Thank you.